Welcome to Nerd Narrates, where I pick the best stories from the internet and share them with you. Let's begin the video. I am aware of the slight a-hole I am in this situation, but I can assure it's not that bad, and it was completely done unintentionally by me. I didn't have fun getting myself into this sort of situation, but it happened as it happened. So, please, I may sound like some naive girl, and I'm aware I am, so please don't keep on judging me. I, 29F, am married to John, 43M. We got married this August, and the time by which this incident happened was on 28th January. As you can do the math, we are newly married, and the thing I've been defending myself from is our age gap, and the fact that I won't be lying is this whole marriage was nothing but a rebound. I will give y'all a little more backstory into my personal life so things would be a little more clearer about the whole situation I'm in right now. I was married to my college sweetheart, and after he cheated on me, I was devastated and couldn't take the pain anymore. I got into sleeping around with various people after that, and then various addictions such as drugs and alcohol. My mental health was really low, and I was completely down bad into depression. So now that I took back to the time I was completely miserable and wanted a way out of this lifestyle. Me and John met through a dating app, and at first it was again supposed to be a one-night stand kind of thing, but the physical intimacy was just out of this world with him. And he said he liked me too, so we met a few more times, and then he proposed to me directly. He said he was looking for something more than being just physical, and we could not deny the emotional presence being there too. So yeah, after just 4 months of knowing each other, we married. His mother was his only family left, or at least that's what he said to me about it, and I didn't want to know her because I was really high when this conversation came up, and I don't really remember anything about the whole family talk. First of all, I was on marijuana, and then again, I was way too sad because my ex cheated on me and broke me, so I didn't really care about falling in love and stuff. I just wanted a partnership and only one person who isn't problematic. Without knowing anything about this guy, I married him. I just never felt like meeting his mom and family or whatever people he knew, and I know this ignorance made it inevitable for me to get myself into trouble. And it did. Yesterday was 28 December when this whole thing happened. It's 1:37 a.m. right now, so you can tell it's technically the next day. I really think so much more logically when I have some coke in me, lol. Getting to the point, we went to visit his mother, stay at her house for 2 days, and then go on a psychedelic trip and get high for the first week of New Year, and have a lot of fun together and make new friends. This was the original plan, but my habits of eavesdropping have actually made a significant change to our plans. And this whole rebound marriage thingy is a pain in the butt to me now. When we reached my mother-in-law's house, everything seemed calm and she was really welcoming to me, which I didn't expect. She didn't treat me any different from John, and yeah, she was warm and cheerful. And now looking back at the whole thing, I was a fool for believing, and it actually makes more sense if she's faking the whole thing to pretend. When we got in, she gave us some tea. She's British, and I have never had tea in my life, and it was really hot, which I didn't expect again. I was still hungover, and my brain generally works a bit slow. I spilled the whole tea on the ground, and I made a mess. But surprisingly, she was like, "It's okay, sweetie," and ran into the room and grabbed a towel for me, and gave me some meds. She told me to go shower, and she would be prepping some stew and catching up with her son in the meanwhile, and those meds were supposed to make me feel energetic, so later we could go and explore the huge forest area she has in her backyard. Like, literally, she did have a huge forest area, and she had guns too for hunting down wild animals, and as city girl, it was all like a school field trip to me, which I would have liked to skip. I showered, dressed up myself in decent clothes, because she seemed like a sweet lady and I didn't want to look like a W in front of her. I thought I should take my meds before eating and realized I didn't have any water near me, and I didn't want to snort in front of her, and make myself look like the addict, so I went to look for water. Honestly speaking, I should have snorted it and remained unaware of all those shits that were going on. When I stepped out of the room, I heard John and his mother arguing over some things, and then after sitting there near the couch and hearing all the arguments from both the sides, it was about the inheritance my father-in-law left behind, and from what I gathered till then, my husband wanted the whole inheritance to himself, and my mother-in-law wanted him to share a bit of that with his cousin sister. I never knew he had a cousin sister, and actually, my bad, I never wanted to know about his cousin sister in the first place. Then they started talking about how my husband deserves nothing after he abandoned his own child and her altogether just because he didn't want to go to jail. Like, what the actual F did I just hear? I was really stoned, and the pill my mother-in-law gave to me had my emotions on peak. I don't know what that bee gave me, but I felt the rush inside me so fast, it felt like someone was running through my veins at about 60 miles per hour. I felt betrayed when they started discussing my husband's alleged son, who I had no knowledge about. I didn't care about the rest of the family, but I had it confirmed that he had no child of his, and that's the reason I was okay with getting married with him in the first place. And now that I got to know he has a son, and he's technically lied to me about his whole life, he must be hiding so much more than that. I couldn't take all that betrayal, and the pill was just trying me, so I barged into the room and started questioning them. I acted violently for some reason. When I started demanding the answer, my husband went into this defending stance and kept calling me names and questioned why I was listening without the consent. My mother-in-law at first tried calming him down, and when I said about the whole cousin-sister thingy and how I'll tell everyone about how he abandoned his son and effed with his cousin, she dropped all the sweet disguise and joined my husband. She kept assuring my husband that the pill would drain all my energy and put me to sleep, and then they could get rid of me, and that's when it hit me. I need to run. I somehow managed to fend myself off and took my purse and left the house immediately, calling the cops, but failed. I took our truck and locked them from outside before leaving, and that was the biggest escape of my life. I tried calling the cops again and again, but it didn't connect for some reason, and it was a forest area, so yeah. Kind of explained it, but I thought 911 was available everywhere. Now, I'm at a motel and safe. I have a friend over and the city's just 20 minutes away, so yeah, pretty much guarded. I don't want to go to prison for possession of illegal shit, so calling the police and getting out of this mess tomorrow. I had dumped the truck somewhere in the middle of nowhere and had my friend pick me up. Honestly, I loved whatever pill she gave me. I can literally feel nothing, but I know I'm in a lot of trouble. It's weird, my life is falling apart and I'm so chill about it like I skipped a day of school. Whatever is gonna happen, the only thing on my mind is me questioning myself what the hell I got myself into, and hopefully by the next time, I am out of it harming myself. Update 1. Heyo, folks of Reddit. Sorry I couldn't update sooner. I was in prison for 3 months and just got out of it the other day. I possessed some really illegal drugs and was sent away to rehab and then prison, and now I'm out and starting a new life again. This time sober. I'm just 2 months sober, but that trip really changed my life. And don't feel bad for me. I deserved it. I deserved the prison and rehab time. When called the cops that day and told them about everything, they started looking for my ex-husband and found out a lot that I had no idea was going on behind my back. My ex had a son with his distant cousin, and he had knocked her up without her consent. I'm scared of that word, so please understand what I meant, and due to that, the reason the whole family had them cut off and only his mother stood by him. That day, while discussing the situation, the cousin had demanded money or she would expose my husband, and to avoid jail time, they were coming to a conclusion of what to do. And I knew too much, so they decided to murder me probably, but I escaped. The police found drugs with me and handed me over to the prison, and they also took care of my divorce, and I've got a restraining order against my husband and MIL, so they won't be anywhere near me. That's all that really happened, and they both are in prison for at least 20 years, so I'm safe. Update 2. Whoa! 2 years now and still getting upvotes. Thank you. I'm not really active in the comments, but I am making this update to inform about every progress I've made. I'm still sober and I just occasionally drink wine every now and then, and nothing more. Right now, I'm so effing pregnant with my engineer husband, and my life is completely upside down, in a really nice way. I've learnt my lessons and am living a better life, and they both are still in prison. So, your girl is living her best life, and I've also started a small business, and it's doing well. Universe sent me this post as a sign for not getting in a similar kind of trouble. And no judgment, honestly. I just feel like crying after reading this. On today's episode of AITA, you are, but I'm glad you grew from it. Next story. My husband and I have been married for 11 years. We met in college and got married shortly after graduating. We're both very career-oriented and have professional goals that we want to obtain. About 8 years ago, we had multiple changes in our lives. The first was me finding out I was pregnant unexpectedly. The second was my husband losing his job when the company he worked for filed for bankruptcy. We had a lot of hard conversations about what these two things meant for our lives. Ultimately, we decided to keep the baby and have my husband stay out of the workforce to get our home ready for a child and to be an SAHD for a while till I continued to pursue my career. We came to this agreement with the understanding that he would be able to pursue his career again in the future. Then, 4 years ago, we had another unexpected pregnancy. Yes, I was on birth control and taking it properly, but no, we were not using condoms. Now we have 2 lovely and amazing children. The pandemic hit my husband harder than it did me, as he was taking on the majority of childcare, and the schooling at home for our oldest was difficult. As hard as it was on him, this time period could have been better for my career. Over the past 2 years, I've received multiple promotions and my career trajectory is years ahead of where I thought it would be. A few weeks ago, I received a job offer from a different company that would be another big jump for me. However, it would require relocating to a different state. I excitedly brought this up to my husband, but he wasn't happy for me. He asked what that would mean for him going back to work, and I told him that it would take some time for us to get assimilated to the area and for me to get accustomed to the new job, as it would probably be higher stress than what I'm doing now, but with much higher pay and benefits. I told him that we could discuss him going back to work in maybe a year or so after we move. He told me that he's tired of being a SAHD and he's becoming resentful of watching me get to achieve my goals and dreams while he's living a life he never envisioned himself doing. He told me I'm being selfish to want to uproot our family from my job and asking him once again to put his goals down and dreams on hold so that I can achieve more of mine. I told him that him being an SAHD doesn't have to be permanent and that this is just another huge step for us as a family. He cut me off and said, "No, it's a huge step for you. For the rest of us, it's just moving." I told him that was unfair, and he said the unfair thing was me breaking promises I made to him. I told him that was years ago and things have changed. If I'm being honest, I know it's going to be hard for him to get back in his career after being gone for so long. A huge gap in his employment record is almost DOA for him to get a good job. I feel bad about it, but we do have a pretty good life as it is, and this new job would only offer more opportunities. YTA for your whole attitude. You should now be as supportive of him as he has been of you. We do not have a pretty good life now, you do. Your husband is unhappy, and you're marginalizing him and his own family. If you want to move, start actively supporting him in his job search, and start interviewing nannies in the location. Stop acting like a 1950s man. YTA. Why does your husband have to be an SAHD for another year after you move? Have you done research on job prospects in his field in the area you want to move to? It sounds like your husband has done all of the compromising up to this point. Relocating is a huge task. I'm not saying that you definitely shouldn't do it, but his opinion about this matters just as much as yours. You need to come to an agreement that works for both of you. Next story. My F26 husband, M28, passed away 3 months ago. I'm 8 months pregnant, and it's been hard for me without him. I lived with his family for a while and moved out to my own rental apartment recently. While I was living with my in-laws, my BIL, Kevin, M31, kept acting strange. He tried to control me by dictating where I'm going and what I'm doing. At first I thought, he said it himself, that he was helping me out and trying to make sure his nephew was taken care of, but it got a little too much. He demanded I tell him about every doctor's appointment I go to and have his mom or him drive me there. He'd also try to get involved in the name choice, and with the help of his mom, they set up a nursery and paid for everything. Honestly, at this point, I said I was out. When I said I was moving out, he and his mom threw a fit, saying I was basically uprooting their nephew/grandbaby and refused to let me take anything they bought for the baby, saying this is his house and I cannot take that away. After I moved out, we stopped talking for a week. Kevin then reached out saying he was just checking on the baby and started visiting me with his mom. He then started calling daily asking about his nephew and kept inviting himself and his mom for dinners with me. Last night, they came over for dinner and they brought up my baby again, talking about setting up health insurance and offering financial support. Kevin then asked about my plans for my baby's birth. I said I'm going to give birth in a public hospital and have my best friend there. Kevin went on a rant about how neglectful public hospitals can be and said that he was willing to pay for me to give birth at a private hospital and have him and his mom there with me. I was shocked that he suggested that, but I politely declined and said I was taking care of it, so no worries. He started pushing back, trying to convince me, but I snapped and yelled at him that he is not my baby's dad, and told him to quit trying to act like he is. He went silent, looked down for some time, then got up and argued that he was just ensuring that his nephew was taken care of, and called me ungrateful and selfish for having an attitude when all he and his mom are doing is helping me out. His mom scolded and shamed me, then left too. We haven't talked after that, and I'm not sure if I was wrong for yelling at him and hurting his feelings when he's clearly trying to help. Your NTA. They're attempting to use their money to control the situation. They spent money on a nursery to ensure you'd stay. When you didn't, they wouldn't let you take it with you. This indicates it wasn't for the baby at all. They offered to pay for the hospital, but only the one they wanted and only if they could be there. Again, this is not them offering help. This is attempting to pay for a ticket to see the birth. Maintain your boundaries, otherwise you may land yourself in a custody battle with your in-laws. NTA, and please lawyer up ASAP. These folks do not seem like they'll walk away and honor your wishes as the child's sole parent. Please find out what the grandparent rights are wherever you live before setting up any visitation with them. Stop answering their phone calls/text messages, and to be fair, you should let them know that you can no longer entertain unannounced visits, and they can text you with a request to come see you before the baby arrives, so you can coordinate it and when it fits your schedule. I'm so sorry you had to deal with so much while you're pregnant. Good luck, and I hope you have a wonderful delivery, healthy baby, and amazing future for you both.